Speaking of a man that would probably, well, I don't know, maybe Kirk Cousins would be getting lit. Kirk Cousins, he's number two. I could see Kirk Cousins getting drunk if Minnesota ever wins the Super
I
Bowl.
absolutely could too. Oh my God, Kirk
I could see,
Cousins would go
I could see
nuts.
him getting hammered, and in a white dad kind of way.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. You know what I was about to say? Like dad at a barbecue is what I pictured Kirk Cousins while
yeah,
drunk.
I mean
Like
Kirk
you're
Cousins is. He
like
posted a picture with like his grill, and he's got all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
chains
yeah, yeah. Like
now. He's blinged
I
out.
could see him getting like plastered in the same way that your dad would, where it would just become like a circle of lawn chairs. Somehow, a circle of lawn chairs would be formed at that Super Bowl parade, and Kirk Cousins would be leading it.
Yeah, I mean, aside from that, he is a pretty good quarterback,
Oh,
and I
absolutely.
mean, it is the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing where it's like he has been so good at manipulating the free agent market to get a ton of money. His Vikings contract, he made so much money. He's incredibly rich. It's an incredibly good free agent deal that he signed, and I don't expect anything less. Um, in terms of landing spots, there's really been, I mean, you can kind of narrow down the teams that are looking at quarterback, just going through them. You've got the the Bears, Commanders, and Pats are out of it probably because of where they sit in the draft. They're probably going to go into it with the draft. So that kind of leaves like Steelers, Broncos, Giants, Falcons. And out of all those teams, the Falcons are the one that's been where the rumblings have been. Um, and I'll maybe throw that over to you. How do you think Kirk Cousins fits on a Falcons team?
I think a lot better than any of the quarterbacks that the Falcons have had in the last little while. I mean, I think Kirk could pretty much fit. I mean, in a sense, he is the exact thing that they would want. They want somebody who is going to be able to use the weapons that they currently have in Atlanta, and I think Kirk Cousins is that guy. I think he absolutely, without any issue, would be able to do that. So at least on Atlanta's part, I feel like it's a no risk move. Other than potential injury, maybe you're worried about the Achilles happening again or what have you. But it's just, I'm not worried about it if I'm Atlanta. I think you bring him in and I think you make a run at it because, I mean, I don't personally. How good is their defense? I guess I know a lot about their offense, but their defense kind of is a thought that doesn't
The
hit me
defense
as
is
much.
pretty good.
Okay,
The defense is pretty good because
okay,
I mean, they've got some good players. Like they have Jesse Bates, and he was fantastic. They've got and AJ Terrell is another good one.
yeah.
And they're not world beaters, but they're not bad. Like they're pretty good.
Yeah. But I mean, you can speak. Everybody knows about that offense. That offense has had everything but a good quarterback and a good offensive coordinator for as long as all of us can remember. And
Yeah,
it's the type of thing where I think if anybody can use those weapons I mean, to their best, it's Kirk Cousins. And
yeah,
I'm really excited to see him play with. Hopefully, Kyle Pitts gets used as more of than just a distraction. Drake London hopefully sees a bit of action. He's got a receiving threat behind him in oh my gosh, Bijan Robinson.
Bijan
Why was I
Robinson.
forgetting that?
Yep.
Whatever. But like he's got so many threats in that offense that so many young threats too that I think if he does go to Atlanta, they would be my I don't. Would it be considered a shocker to say that they'd be fairly good next year? Like, I don't even know, but
They would probably pretty easily win the NFC. No, maybe not pretty easily. They'd be in the playoffs.
yeah,
I don't think they'd be an NFC like
no,
title contender or
no.
anything, but they'd
But
probably make
that's
it in the
not what I mean
playoffs.
though. Like, just think about how good Atlanta has been in the last little while. Like, I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that I think with
No.
Kirk Cousins leading the charge, they would be one of the better
Yeah.
teams in the NFL. And I think they'd be a fun team to watch. I'd be tuning into some Atlanta games.
Yeah. You mentioned it. The Achilles is a big concern
Yeah,
because I mean he is old
he
at this
was
point. He's
never a mobile
36.
quarterback though, which is the one thing that I guess
No,
he has very
he
good
wasn't.
pocket
But I mean
presence, but he's not.
it is an Achilles injury is still a big deal. Like
Yes,
I get that he's not mobile
yes.
and it's not something he's gonna need, but he's still like pushing like at this
I
point
guess
36 like
I
the
guess
wrong
the
side of
question is
35.
like, at what point do you start expecting Kirk to just become your check down field general, and is that still enough for Atlanta to go far?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I mean,
I don't hate I don't hate the idea of Kirk Cousins on the Falcons, but it's not what I would do if I was Terry Fontenot. Like
what would he do?
I think there's a oh shit, things are moving. Um, well, wait, we'll see if I get kicked out of here. I'm gonna keep talking until I do. The projectors just started to move without me touching anything. That's really funny. Um,
For context, for everybody watching this, the place that Caleb is recording in is now closing.
yep. So we're gonna see if I get a little funny. Hey, you need to leave. We'll see how it goes. Let me make my point about Kirk Cousins before I get forcibly escorted from this building. Um, I think that in terms of what I would do if I was the Falcons, I think there's an obvious answer. An obvious answer. I think every single team should be jumping on this. I think every single team should be jumping on this. Even the Seahawks, to an extent, I would be happy if they did this. Justin Fields is out there. The Bears are drafting Caleb Williams.
That's true.
Justin Fields has
It doesn't
been,
sound like the price for him is anywhere as high as that, or at least what I would have thought.
it's a second round pick plus maybe something else.
Yeah.
Which is not like that's nothing.
That's not bad.
If you get your quarterback in the future, it's not like Justin Fields has been a bust. It's not like Justin Fields has been a bust. He has been like fairly like serviceable to good with a subpar Bears offense. Putting him in that Atlanta offense?
Do you think that Justin Fields has a breakout year if he goes to Atlanta? I think I already know the
Oh,
answer
absolutely.
To that, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that one of our biggest videos on this podcast is the whole Justin Fields, Caleb Williams debate, and like I think we were both strongly on the side of keeping Justin Fields, and that's clearly not what the Bears are going to do.
No, it's not.
I could be swayed at this point. I don't know. I still think it's way too early to give up on him. I know this is kind of a weird situation for Chicago, but I do think it's early to give up on him, and I think teams should be jumping at the bit because a quarterback this young and this good does not become available for this little compensation very often. And when you're a team Atlanta that already has a bunch of young weapons,
and we've seen it happen in the past where these younger-ish quarterbacks who just had a couple doubts, some people within their own organization doubting them moving on and becoming all-time greats. It's not uncommon. Or maybe it's not common, but it's not uncommon, right? Where it's the type of thing where I absolutely could see him going to a team like Atlanta and making the best out of a pretty good situation over there offensively. I don't think their O-line is very bad. I think they have, I've already spoken what I think about their weapons, but I think that Justin Fields, like Kirk Cousins, would be able to make it work. He's made it work with a lot less with the Bears. DJ Moore is definitely better than Drake London, but even then, you just look all around that locker room and there's talent, which I think is just huge for his chances at doing something really good in Atlanta in the next couple years.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think part of it is the vibe too. I don't know. I think just seeing Fields in the all black Falcons uniforms, like the retro ones.
Oh yeah.
That's just like, I don't know, man. That gets me going.
Atlanta with a mobile quarterback again.
It does. It is a little a Vic reminiscent. Because other than Lamar, Fields is the best mobile quarterback in the NFL. Pair that with Bijan, pair that with Kyle Pitts, pair that with Drake London. That's why I think like Kirk Cousins would not be a great move because it's just like youth, and then a 36-year-old quarterback. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's what they need, but I don't know. I
think that it would be the best overall, and I know it's a little bit heresy considering he was just playing with the best wide receiver in the NFL, but it's probably the best overall offense all around the board. Overall,
yeah.
Like most talent in a room, and I'm really curious to see what he can do with that. We've seen him with a lot of talent around him. That's not to say that he has not had help.
And he was fantastic. I don't want to make it sound like Kirk Cousins isn't good.
No.
He's been fantastic.
But he.
I would honestly
My question.
I would honestly.
This year is whether he still has that deep ball, and still has the necessary bits and pieces to his game that made him so successful on a lot of those teams. Does he still have that? Can he pull it off, right? Like, would he be able to, let's say Drake London has been looking for somebody his whole career so far of like 2 years or whatever, who can hit him on that deep ball. What if that person isn't Kirk Cousins, as sad as it would be to
Yeah.
see big old
I wouldn't.
Kirk go.
I would. I would still have some doubt in that. Like I do think he can probably return to that level. Um, I don't know. I just don't think like you're gonna get like 2 or 3 good more years out of him. I think I'd rather build young. In terms of where I think he would actually go, I think the Steelers is a great choice. I think that's more of like a ready-made roster in terms of what that defense looks like, and you've already got some good weapons in terms of like George Pickens, namely. I think that would be the big one for me. If I was actually to name a destination I'd want to see him go, it'll probably be Atlanta or returning to Minnesota. Um,
Okay, well,
yeah, that's kind
we've
of
now spent 17 minutes on two.
yeah. Kirk Cousins deserves his time in the spotlight.
Oh,
Though. We can rip through some.
Big old
We can rip
Kirko
through some more of
deserves
these.
his flowers.
That's true.